Welcome back to your Monday edition of the Now Morning Show. Of course, we have brand new art on set this week as our art exhibit series on Now in collaboration with the Art Society of Trinidad and Tobago continues. And this week's featured artist is Nathanael Davis, who joins us in studio to share some of his incredible work and some of his journey. Good morning, Nathanael, and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you with us on the show this morning. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for the beautiful work that's going to be here with us for the week itself. Let's start with you and your journey. How did you become an artist, and what would you say is some of your main inspiration?
Okay, so growing up, my mother actually, she's an artist, and she actually teaches art as a profession, both at secondary and tertiary level. So growing up around that space, I was always amazed at the techniques used. And I remember in primary school getting some regular printer pages with a couple of my friends. We will sit down, try to make our own comics, right? And it really grew from there. Entering secondary school and doing art as a subject, it really expanded my views on art, and that's where my formal training would have taken place. Most of my art currently looks at the marine life, and that would have been the inspiration behind that would have been my journey with the 6th Trinidad Sea Scouts. Being a part of that organization really took me into that environment, and seeing certain issues really had me thinking, and that's where I got the idea to do some social commentary through my art.
It's beautiful that you've been able to really incorporate that expression into your work as well. And one of the things that I just noticed is you mentioned that you started with comic books, and you're here now. So would you say that your art evolves as you evolve as well and reflects society at the time?
Definitely. I would say even down to the techniques evolve. I am still looking for that space, feeling things out, and always open-minded to new techniques, open-minded to new expressions. Yeah.
Now, as you mentioned techniques, are there any particular techniques that you prefer or you will go to when you're doing a piece?
Okay, definitely, yes. My paintings especially fall kind of in line with the Fauvist movement. That's using complementary colors and a bit of impressionism. I do a lot of on-canvas mixing of paints, and that's what really has that unique style with a lot of my paintings.
And we can see it on set. I'm looking forward to going through these paintings. But let's also talk about the fact that you use colored pencil as well.
Yes.
It's a little bit different.
Yes, it's a little bit different. That was a lot more patience required for that. A lot of layering involved. But the color use is still generally the same. And I think that is what really has stamped my style so far, and that's what I'm discovering.
So it's interesting that you say patience, because 9 out of 10 times when you think of using, like mixing the paints, as you would have mentioned, and coloring pencils, it might take a little bit longer. So which one would you say takes the longest?
Definitely color pencils. Color pencils involves a lot of layering in order to get the intense color required. So you're coloring over and over and over, stacking colors on top. What most people don't realize is paper has like little ridges, and as you color, you are filling up those ridges, and then when you're finishing to get that smooth finish and you press harder, your pencil is actually pressing down on it, and that's where you get the mixing of color happening.
Wow, you see, so there is so much technique to this, and it's not necessarily something that we think about. I mean, when we think about it, we all grew up using colored pencils, but we're definitely not as skilled as Nathanael is, who's on the set with us this morning. So we're going to go through some of your artwork this morning that you have on our set. The first one definitely drew my attention, from the color to what I know is also the theme behind it. So can you perhaps go into a little bit of detail about this?
Okay, yes. So the first one that we have on set, that one is Death Trap. Yes, that one really looks at the marine space and looks at the threat to marine life via the
So I'm taking a look at it right now, Death Trap, a powerful visual commentary on the devastating effects of human exploitation on marine life, and particularly endangered species like the hawksbill turtle. Now, you drew inspiration from the art movement that you mentioned, correct?
Yes.
And we definitely see that coming with the layers, but what medium did you use for this?
This one is acrylic on canvas, right? And yes, you would see a lot of on canvas mixing,
Right.
especially where the shell of the turtle is involved, and then there's a lot of just layering of paints, really pulling from that impressionism movement.
Now let's go on to the second one, which, for want of a better expression, definitely leaves an impression on
Yes.
all of us in studio. What is the name of this piece, and
So,
what message are you conveying?
The name of this piece is actually called Man to Man. I did not come up with that name. I can't take credit. Actually, I'll give credit to there's a taxi driver that saw it, right? And he said, hey, you could probably call it this. And I really liked the name. But this one looks at, the general theme is men breaking the stereotype.
Right.
This looks at the stereotypical image of strength and the impact that it has on the individual male to really uphold that image, right? It kind of is like a stifling kind of feeling as one wants to build their unique style and unique sense of self in society.
Right, definitely. And this next piece that comes up as well is, I think, a visual that we all may be quite accustomed to.
Yes.
But the beauty of this is that it is in black and white. So what made you decide you were going to do this piece this way?
This piece really was just a challenge that I had set for myself this year. I chose a new medium, looking at using ink,
Okay.
right? So that's just a pen drawing of local species of bird, well, native to Trinidad. It's the yellow-chinned spine-tail, and it's just simply a drawing that would have been a new challenge for me this year.
So when you said it was a challenge, what particularly would have been a challenge about this piece for you?
First time using pen to do any sort of drawing, right? I also would not have utilized pencils to map it out. I just started to draw, and we went from there.
So speaking about pencils, this next one is in colored pencil.
Yes.
How long did this take? What is the name of it and all the details? Let's go.
Okay. This one took, I think, the longest out of all the pieces here. I think if I put it in terms of hours, I think it was about 2 weeks worth of hours.
Wow.
Yes, the name of it is called The Anchorage. It looks at biodiversity in twofold in terms of the human impacts on biodiversity. So we have front and center is the anchor, right? At first, it is something that causes havoc to the marine environment, causes a bit of destruction. But then on the upside, right, given proper conditions, the anchor would serve as structure for the growth of coral reefs, which we know is the backbone of biodiversity in the marine environment.
Definitely. It's so beautiful. I'm quite interested if we can just perhaps get in very briefly in 30 seconds. What is your process like? It gives me a feeling of you listen to music while you paint or there's complete silence. Which one is it?
I do listen to a lot of music while I paint. And yes, it's really and truly just how I feel as I paint. There isn't any specific method and strategy behind it, but yeah.
Beautiful. Nathanael, if we'd like to get some more information about you and see some of your work, where can we go to?
Okay, so you can find me at social media platforms. That would be Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Nathan_S.C_art. Yes. And you can also contact me personally at 708-1523 or email nathanael.davis12@gmail.com.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for loaning your beautiful artwork. We're going to enjoy it all week, and looking forward to seeing more of your creative expression come out as it definitely relates to society and our evolution.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to have you. Nathanael Davis, our resident artist this week on set on the Now Morning Show. Stay tuned. There's more coming up after this break.